Hey everybody, and welcome to the fifth Arrow episode for season one. It is called Damaged. So, I suppose we'll just get into it. What's your initial impressions of this?
Well, I think similar to the first episode, it likes to highlight how the other characters view Oliver. We also, we of course had a lot of how Detective Lance views him, and he just views him as a criminal and a killer, and he really wants him to be the vigilante. Whereas Laurel views um, Oliver and the vigilante as very differently. Like when she shows up at the trial, she says to Oliver that making a difference is not his style. So she was very, I guess I want to say, oblivious, because she sees them as very different people. And it's not until later on, when she sees that he lied on the polygraph, that she gets a bit suspicious and like she doesn't know what to believe. And then of course there's Diggle, who he gets a little bit annoyed that Oliver didn't tell him the entire plan and just sort of sprung it on him that he has to wear the hood to prove that it's not him. So I think Diggle is trying to make Oliver see that he needs to trust him and tell him more about his plans.
Yeah, I mean, this episode really starts to show that Diggle will become his biggest moral compass, besides maybe a certain other character who hasn't done much yet.
Mm,
But yeah, Diggle really does become that for the early episodes of making Oliver confront himself, really.
yeah. And he sort of helps Oliver figure out how to run this sort of operation they've got going on.
Yeah,
Yeah, he says, if I'm going to be a part of this, you got to tell me stuff. He says, I'm the one guy you don't lie to.
well, that's the thing. I knew I this episode. There was so many moments that I just forgot was in this episode. I mean, I going into it, I knew I loved this episode, but coming out of it, I just realized, man, I love it even more. It's easily the best of the first five episodes, and probably one of the best, at least of the season in general.
I guess I just don't get the hype that you have going on. I just don't love it as
Well,
much.
first off, think about it. It's the first episode where the taking down the bad guy plot really isn't part of the plot at all. The
Yeah,
whole point of this episode is confront Oliver confronting himself. The whole going through Oliver being innocent or guilty of being the Arrow.
yeah, I guess. I was gonna give it a 6, but maybe I'll move up to 7. I'm starting to see why you like it. It is quite interesting.
It's the first episode to take a change in pace of something, and that both the main plot and the flashback plot was definitely the best we've had so far.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know why, it just didn't interest me that much, but I can't really explain why.
I mean, the episode starts off with a courtroom scene and then has another scene with Oliver having a polygraph. Both scenes showing Oliver has an amazing skill to lie. This episode finally showing where he's gotten that, or at least started to get that ability,
Mm.
except when he can't think of an excuse for why a computer is damaged. But other than that, he's an amazing
Oh,
liar.
yeah. Sometimes he's a good liar, sometimes he's absolutely terrible. And that's something Diggle brings up at the end. He says you've got to be careful with who you lie to. Because he's told a lot of lies and he has to keep track of what each person knows.
Well, that is the ultimate pain of lying is a constant reminder of what you've said.
Yeah, you got to keep track of what lies you've told who.
And then you've also got to be ready for any trap that can come your way. The skill to being the best liar, is how good can you think on the fly.
Yeah, like when Detective Lance asked if he had been to Iron Heights because the vigilante was there recently, and he said no, but he did go there in a field trip with school, so.
But here's the thing, I find that scene annoying when it gets brought up though. If Oliver had legitimately forgotten that he didn't go then he would have tricked the polygraph. A polygraph can't detect an actual lie. It only detects what you know to be a lie. If you don't know you're lying, then a polygraph won't know either.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, okay, to be fair, he did know he was lying about going to the Iron Heights as the vigilante, and that's where he got
Yeah.
caught out. Whereas that's the irony. If he had remembered, he would have fooled the polygraph better than if he hadn't.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
if he had remembered, he would have said yes, and that would have easily passed the polygraph.
Yeah, 'cause then if he had asked, well, why were you there? He could have explained, oh, I was thinking of my field trip.
The problem is, this episode sets up a lot of people being suspicious, but then it all just puts it on a back burner. We won't see Thea be suspicious for a while. We won't see Laurel be suspicious for a while. It might pop up occasionally, but everyone just kind of forgets about their suspicions of him.
Well, yeah, because it got disproven. They were like, yeah, I was probably just going crazy because the hood guy was sighted at that other place while Oliver was having a party.
I think the episode also is the first one to really. I mean, the last episode did it too, but this episode has really started to delve into where the main plot of this season is going, or at least start to give us quite a bit of it.
Yeah, because we once again saw Moira talking to Malcolm. I don't think we've actually learned his name yet, but
Not that it matters, but yeah.
yeah, but yeah, he was really suspicious of Oliver, but then Moira had to.
Well, I was just more referring to this whole episode in the previous really reminded me that Walter is actually a good character, because in the past I just remember him as just kind of being there,
Yeah, but he's trying to figure out what Moira was up to.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that, like I said, I originally was going to give it a 6, but I think I'll give it a 7. What do you think?
I'm definitely giving an 8, probably not a 9, maybe an 8.5. The only thing that annoyed me was this episode still has a lot of flip-flopping with Laurel. At the start, I was thinking, okay, this episode she's being... I couldn't remember what she was feeling last episode. Now suddenly, at the start, she's like, oh, I don't... At the start, she's being mean to him. Then in the middle, she starts to feel sorry. Then she's back to being mean to him. Make up your damn mind. I know he's a complicated person, but it just gets annoying.
Because she doesn't know how to feel about him and what to believe.
Yeah, but it just comes off as backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards.
Yeah, I guess so.
But
that's all I can think of to say about it.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Other than Laurel being annoying, this episode really delved into a lot of characters. We got a great amount of plot with Moira and Walter. We got a lot of... That's the thing. We got great scenes like the interrogation scene. Both interrogation scenes, both in the flashback and the present. And it also delved a lot better into Quentin's character. Before, he just came off as bitter and annoying, but here we finally get at least a lot of reasoning. And this comes off... I have to give a compliment to the actor. That scene at the end where he takes off the bracelet and whatever, there's a bit where he's walking away, where you look in his face, and you can really see a lot of mixed emotions in there.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I think this episode was the first mention of Laurel's mother as well.
I believe it is the first one.
Yeah, we didn't actually know why she wasn't around, and it was explained that she left because of Quentin.
Well, that's the thing. That's that last scene where he's walking away. In his mind, he knows, or at least as far as he's concerned, Oliver is now innocent. So yes, he feels bad for putting him in danger, but he also feels bad for being annoyed at them, even though he still is annoyed for what happened. But he has to now confront himself and realize, I don't have many decent reasons to be annoyed at them.
Yeah. Yeah, at least before he thought he had a reason to hate Oliver because he considered him a criminal, but now he's just a perfectly innocent guy.
But it's probably also, that, and he also did realize, or at least maybe he's starting to realize what both Laurel and Moira have been saying, is that he's letting his anger for Oliver push him too far.
Yeah.
The ultimate cruel irony is that Quentin's right this whole episode.
Yeah.
That's the irony is they do this a lot in Iroh, is there's so many times where characters are presented as being in the wrong or bad characters when they're completely right. Oliver is lying to everyone's face, and they are always right that yes, he is the criminal.
Yeah, a lot of superheroes do that, where there's a character who gets suspicious and they're completely right, but the hero has to disprove them somehow. Like, I think
Well,
I
it's-
mentioned that eventually happens to both Ladybug and Cat Noir.
but here's the thing. It's not about the disproving. It's about putting the characters in a bad light. It's about saying, look at all the bad actions these people are taking, even though they're taking it in all the right reasons. Especially early on. Maybe in later seasons when Oliver and the Vigilante are at least a bit more decent. But right now, there hasn't been that much reason.
He's a straight up murderer. By law, it's fair to arrest him and stuff.
Yeah. But,
I guess that's all we have to say about that.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. I think there was I was going to say, yeah, the other flashback scene that is really good is we finally get a lot more of Yao Fei, the person who's been with Oliver. First, we get a nice training scene that really delves into his character, and you can see that while both in this episode and the previous episode he'd been a bit harsh to Oliver, he is definitely on Oliver's side and someone to be trusted.
It could be worse.
Especially at the end when he comes back for Oliver.
And it could be worse. He could have just said, here's a bow and arrow, kill the bunny yourself. But instead, he said, alright, I'll kill the bunny, you just have to pick it up. So he was being nice in that regard, that he didn't just leave Oliver on his own to learn the hard way.
Well, no, because he actually he's taking the time to actually help and train Oliver.
Yeah. And once Oliver got captured by those other people, Yao Fei did come back and save him.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's the thing. Last episode he came off as harsh. Now he's finally starting to be seen in a lot better light.
Yeah.
But getting back to it, I think we've pretty much cut. That's the thing. This episode, it seems like it's not much of it's not an action-packed episode, but there's a lot jammed into this episode.
Yeah, I guess so.
Which is probably why I'm definitely going to give it an 8.5. I was close to 9, but maybe that's a bit too high because there's a lot better episodes in the future.
Yeah,
but
I'll stick to my 7.
This is a really good early episode, so I'm giving it an 8.
Alright.
And I suppose next time is episode 6. I don't know. I think I remember what episode 6 is, but we'll find out next time.
I have no idea.
No, maybe you'll remember when you see it. But for now, we'll see episode 6 later. Alright.
See you next time.